Okay, so that's great. That did just delete everything for whatever fucking reason.
Oh no.
Oh no. Do you mind if we just go one more time? Sorry about that. I don't know what happened there.
Do you need a cord to plug in?
No, I'm just gonna keep an eye on it now. I don't know what it did that for, but. Okay, I guess we'll just. I'm sorry we just did this once, but just deleted everything. I'm sorry to do this again, but we have this is Nathan. We've already done half the interview already, but the phone just died and lost everything. So Nathan is the owner and lead production manager of Fallen Timber Meadery, and I'm just gonna speed through the first couple of questions just to be kind of polite to Nathan here. We talked about a preventative maintenance schedule before for equipment. I believe you said there was initially we had one and now not so much. Or?
Yeah, we initially had one that was robust and built out and very tightly scheduled based on brand new equipment and what the recommended things were. We have a very different use of a forklift and boiler and other things that other breweries would have, and so we choose to do maintenance more on a as needed basis rather than preventative. We know where our hardships are and our most vulnerable pieces are, and we just stay on top of those.
Yeah. So we still do preventative maintenance on the
Yes.
finicky stuff, which
Just
then
triaged.
segues into the next question, which equipment requires the most maintenance, which I think you said was the labeler.
Our labeler is the biggest pain. So just because it's a small piece of equipment with lots of variables in terms of materials that are run through it, and it often requires cleaning and adjustment and a bunch of different parts. So it can cause a lot of downtime if it's not set up properly, and some days it runs seamlessly, and you feel like you got away with one.
That again segues into the next one, which was like if you could buy a different piece of equipment, go back in time, or not buy a piece of equipment at all. Would there be any pieces of equipment? Like
I would not buy a labeler if I didn't have to. I would go strictly printed cans, provided the cash flow management was there to do so.
Yeah.
It's we had a stint where we used printed cans, and it was great. But that was back before COVID, when you had to when we went through COVID, you had to go from buying half a truckload of printed cans to buying 5 truckloads of printed cans.
oh wow.
It didn't work.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think then we went into we were talking about cash flow, so we might as well talk about the biggest constraints on inventory and such. I'm guessing between shelf life, storage, and cash flow, it's
Cash flow. I mean, we're lucky with our products. The shelf stability is phenomenal.
yeah, absolutely.
Our storage space, we built a fairly big building with the intent to be able to grow into it, and so we have a decent amount of storage. And so for us, it's cash flow there's power in economies of scale when purchasing your packaging materials. And for us, it's always a matter of like trying to buy as much as we can without strapping us somewhere else. We could produce everything in 3 months of the year if we had all the materials sitting here ready to go, but it doesn't make sense in terms of cash flow basis. We spread it out throughout the year to keep it functional.
Otherwise, it just make more sense to do it in the 3-month span. You
That's
think?
right. We operate like a winery.
All right. Yeah, true. I mean, with
Yeah.
kind of all the honey comes in all at once. So
Yeah.
yeah.
You could just, we know what we want to make. We could just make it all at once, but you have to be able to front load all of that.
So speaking about knowing what to make, how do you guys balance like consistency, like your standard products against like seasonals and more experimental product lines?
That's largely based on like our feel for the market at the time. So early on, say 10 years ago, when we came out with new products, we were production capped, where we could only produce so much, and so you chose your products based on how many hours in the day you could produce things for. And then as the markets changed, it was fun to try and create new products, but we were often tripping over ourselves in terms of like how to brand them and how to place them and all of those pieces. And so we settled on a core lineup.
Did you ever find some of those products kind of filled the same niche as the core lineup?
Yeah, and you'd see them cannibalize sales from one product to another. So we're trying to balance that. But nowadays the market is seems a little less experimentative. So new products, one, they become a burden to retailers where they don't want to have more shelf space taken up, and two, people are reverting back to what they know and what they trust, I think.
Yeah, I've definitely been seeing that. People have had their stint trying all the weird stuff, and now they just want stuff they know that's good. Yeah. I'm falling into that too, I'm not gonna lie. Employee retention. How do you retain employees? Good
question. we haven't had, as long as we have the money to keep people employed, we haven't had a lot of turnover on that sense. It's when we come into situations where something's tight and layoffs have to happen that we lose people not to get them back.
Oh yeah.
But generally speaking, we've got pretty decent employee retention where we try to make a place that is comfortable to come and work, and and there's like a mutual benefit to both of us. Comes down to money sometimes. we all have more booze than we have money. That's the problem.
Yeah, if you could pay him in booze, it'd be fine.
That's
right. So how do you find communications goes between the different subsections of your teams, like your apiary, your marketing team, your brewers? Is there any breakdowns in communication that happens there, or?
Always, even when it's only 5 people.
Yeah.
It for us, because we are quite a diverse business, there's lots of times where like people aren't even coming to the same building every morning, and it becomes complicated and cumbersome to even find people in order to have like shared communications. At one point in time, when we were a much broader, bigger company, we took time to do meetings, and we had lots of different divisional meetings that we would have, but that actually ended up hurting us in the long run because it was just efficiencies kind of fell apart.
Just too big.
Yeah, somewhere between the 20 and 30 staff was just not a great spot, because you had to have health and safety programs that were way more robust than what we were doing, and it required more time and effort spent on the effectively a political or a bureaucratic side of the business, as opposed to
a business part of the business.
A functional piece of the business. There was lots and lots of policies that needed developed and paperwork that needed to be maintained.
So it kind of segues into the next one. So how do you ensure accountability? Is it just by having a smaller team and just working more closely with people, or?
That's seeming to be the easiest way that we found. Accountability as the company reached its kind of biggest, it was harder. it was harder to know what to require, because as we got bigger and the divisions got bigger, people knew less and less about what the other people in the business were doing, and trying to communicate back what you should be accountable for was, it was tough. So there's lots of, there was doubt seeded in the midst of things, where
Just people weren't sure what other people were doing,
Yeah.
or
they didn't know how to validate what the other people were doing, even though everybody was working all the time. It's hard to know where the money was being spent, and what benefits were coming into the company from all the hours that everybody was doing.
so were there any? So it's kind of sounding like you implemented some changes that overall improved the work efficiency of everything. Was it just downsizing, or were there more?
And lessons learned. I mean, when we built a new facility, so we had a big growth spurt through 2017, 2018, 2019, to the point where we were bursting at the seams, and we built a big new facility, and we thought that there was going to be an everlasting runway of growth. And so we built a facility, we tooled and built a team with the policy and kind of like a divisional network that preceded where we were. We were trying to be organized before we placed a bunch of extra staff into the mix, and so that we had the framework to grow off of, rather than
Trying to grow at the same
organically
time.
kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, it was. I've heard other businesses do it, like have the same hardships in not being prepared for growth. We prepared for growth that kind of ran into a wall with COVID, and so then we were forced to retract as a survival method, and unfortunately we spent a lot of time building that framework in the early days that highlighted themselves as the inefficient parts of
So,
business.
where do you see the business heading in the next 2-3 years? Like maybe, like, do you think you're going to be able to ramp up and use more of that space, or are you going to be
I
like,
think so, but it's cautious growth these days.
yeah,
It's-
been bit once?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. We tried to go too big too fast. Well, we expected that growth was going to come because of where we were in the market, and I don't expect growth to come easily anymore. And so we're trying to manage our costs and trying not to spend before we earn.
So, would you say like the biggest operating challenge going forward then is just cash flow? Is that the biggest thing?
Yeah. We have, like, the debts that we accrued while we were growing are still there. Or while we were expecting growth, they're still there. And so now we have lots of debts to pay off, and a building that was ultimately designed to be for a company 3 times the size of what we are. There's lots of challenges.
So is it like you kind of anticipated you pay it off in a certain period of time, and now it's 3 times that period?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, do you have any advice for any of the students in the program right now? Should they just get up and run, or like, like what do you think?
Definitely don't get up and run, but don't, like, it's a hard time in the industry, and it's not something to go into, without your eyes open. Like it,
I mean, it's so romanticized sometimes that people just forget about the work, right?
That's right. There's a lot of work. There's a lot of vulnerability in it right now, because things change. Well, at least over the last 5 years, everything that we knew is upside down and back, and upside down and back again. Like it's there's been a lot of change, and with change comes uncertainty, and so you can still find the right place or the right business or the right products to like keep yourself moving forward, but it's tough. Like you have to. Yeah, I don't know how to describe that part of it. But it takes resilience and fortitude.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess I just have one more question. Just stay right there.
Yeah.
New liqueur just made. I
Oh,
want to
nice.
know what you think how it tastes.
Let me get an extra glass so I don't take it all.
Oh yeah.
We got a little bit of a cold.
Oh, okay. Just gotta have a rinse one real quick.
Yeah.
Again, I'm sorry that we had to do this interview twice because it recorded all of a second before it quit the first time. So
Smells awesome.
yeah, we just made that last night. We're gonna be making like a passion fruit white chocolate and bourbon RTD using that. So
So good.
very white chocolate.
So good.
Well, do you want the rest of the jar as a thank you for taking some time?
Yeah, I do.
Awesome. Perfect.
That'll work.
All right.